witches.
Hi, hello.
Caught her on a yawn.
Yeah, that you did. That's for sure.
Happy Samhain. Is that the greeting or the salutations for Samhain?
Fuck, I don't know.
Samhain blessings? Blessed Samhain? I don't know. I guess I probably should have looked that up. I think for the artwork I put Samhain blessings. But that's what we're talking about today. Ow. Sorry, my hip just like fucking dislocated itself because why fucking not? Anyway,
So happy Halloween.
All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, whatever you want to call it or
I think All
celebrate.
Saints Day is after Halloween.
It's like the day after, right?
But wait, is
Or
it
like 2 days
Samhain the day
after.
after?
It's like the 31st into the first.
Well, okay, yeah.
Um, but it's a pagan festival that originates in ancient Celtic traditions, usually celebrated from October 31st into November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. So it's basically, and some people even call it the witch's new year, especially like in modern times, people call it that. Um, it's a time that it is believed that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world are thin, like the veil is thinning. You hear that phrase, which allows more like interaction or easier access to spirits and the spirit realm. um, and it's the darkest period of the wheel of the year. It comes right after Mabon, which is when the days are exactly even and starting to go towards the dark is longer than the light. Um, and right before Yule, when the light returns and the days get longer. Um, so this is a time to think about what you did last year, just like New Year's Eve. You think about what did you do last year? Did your plans come to fruition? Like, did they work? Do you need to make new plans? It's all about like reflecting on your past year and coming up with plans for the new year. During Samhain, you remember the past and plan for the future. Um, there's a lot of history, and I didn't like pick and choose, but like I took there's a lot of different versions of the same stories, and I just picked one version of each of the stories. A lot of this came from the History Channel, actually. That's where a lot of this history part of the Samhain came from. Um, so the ancient Celts, um, Samhain was the most important of their 4 quarterly fire festivals. Um, happens sometime, or it happens at the midpoint between the fall equinox and the winter solstice, which is kind of what I said above. And during this time of year, people would light the fire like in their fireplace at home, and they would just leave it to burn out while they were out in the fields harvesting um, the crops or whatever. Typically, at least where I'm at, this time of year, the crops that are being harvested are the more hardy crops, like um, I think corn is still being harvested right now. So and like pumpkins and apples and that type of thing. Um, and then after the harvest is done, the druid priests would light a big community fire. Um, but they would do it with like this wheel. It wasn't the wheel of the year, but it was like this wheel that they would like spin, and it would cause friction and spark flames, and that's how they started the fire, which is kind of cool. And the wheel was supposed to be like a representation of the sun going around, so
Mhm.
it was like symbolism as well. Um, and they did that along with prayers, and they would sacrifice cattle, um, and like have basically a huge feast because this is the new year. And then at the end of the like big celebration, everyone would take like a torch or a stick or something from the big bonfire and take it back to their home to light their own fire in their own fireplace. Because this was back when, like, that's how you heated your house, was with the fireplace.
I wonder too, does it have anything to do with like I know some superstition or some things for like Halloween is basically do something different so that the ghouls and goblins and like ghosts and all that can't see who you
Yes.
truly are. And I
Yes.
wonder if like the light helped them.
Yes. So the light and then also costumes were supposed to confuse the fairies, or
Fairies.
yeah, the fairies that
That's
would
it.
come to like try to fuck shit up. So those, I have that in here somewhere. I think I have it farther down. Oh yeah, bonfires were more, they, so when they took home the piece of the bonfire to their own home fire, they called that fire a, I'm gonna butcher this, I promise, because it's Celtic and I have no idea. Samhanigans, which are, it's probably Sauhanigans because it's spelled the same as Samhain. Um, but they're like smaller fires, and those fires were supposed to protect families from fairies and witches.
Oh, okay.
Um, this was actually like during medieval times. This was actually a mandatory celebration. You didn't have a choice, and it lasted 3 days and 3 nights. And if you did not participate, it was believed to result in punishment from the gods, usually illness or death. I'm sure in some situations there was some vigilante justice happening there and people were just killing people just for the fun of it, but um in Ireland, Samhain, there was also a military aspect. Um they People would build like thrones for commanders, um like military commanders, and they were literally like holiday thrones, like decorated with gourds and things like that. Um, and anyone who committed a crime or used their weapons during the celebration, like even pickpocketing, like any crime during the Samhain celebration in Ireland, that was a death sentence. Didn't matter what the crime was, dead. So, um, some documents also mention that those 6 days, like the 3 days and 3 nights, were a time of drinking alcohol to excess, usually mead or beer, along with feasts. So it was just like
Meat
a
is
bit,
pretty
basically
good.
a 3 day party. I've never had it. I guess I
You can
always just
actually order
assumed
it.
it was like beer, and I don't like beer, so it was just
It's like a
nasty.
honey wine.
Oh, so maybe I should give it a chance.
But it yeah, but it doesn't taste like wine. But it's like it does, but it doesn't. I don't know. I think it's good.
Gotta
You can
try it
actually
then.
order it online, I think, because Will had it sent to him.
Okay, interesting. Did you know? Just a quick quiz. I actually did know this, but I feel like most people don't. Do you know what they used to carve before they switched to pumpkins?
I would say gourds, but that's basically like pumpkin. So maybe watermelons. I don't know.
No. So they apparently used to carve turnips, and they would like tie them
Turnips.
to strings
Oh, okay.
and put
See, that's where
coal
I was thinking
inside.
gourds.
Yeah. Um and then later the Irish tradition took over and they switched it to pumpkins. And then because, you know, medieval times and men, in Wales, men would toss burning wood at each other in violent games and set off fireworks. So that's that's fun. Um, and then Christianity, inevitably, I literally in my notes wrote Christianity's inevitable involvement. So as Christianity started to like become a thing and get big, um,
Become a
The
thing and
different
get big.
church leaders, yeah, bleh. Different church leaders tried to reframe Samhain as a Christian celebration. The first attempt was, this is actually Catholics doing this because it's a pope. Um, but Pope, is it Boniface? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah,
Boniface? It looks like Bonyface, but I know that's not how
it
you pronounce
does.
it. So in the 5th century, he decided he was just going to move the celebration to May 13th, and decided it was a day to celebrate saints and martyrs. The pagans were like, yeah, fuck that noise, bro. We're still going to celebrate it in October. um, and did not follow what he said. Then later in the 9th century, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to the time of the fire festival, so back to November 1st. And he declared it All Saints' Day on November 1st. And then All Souls' Day follows on November 2nd. So he moved it back to the same time. So even if people celebrated it, he could still be like, haha, you're still celebrating our holiday, not your, you know, pagan stuff. So hot mess. Um, and then, as time went on, it morphed into Halloween, because people would also dress up in costumes to hide from the fairies and the witches. This is my life. I can't see my notes. You're in the way. Um, but like kind of moving, sir. Kind of moving on to hello. Say hello, everyone, to Chaos. This is Chaos. He's a good boy. He's being really annoying right now. I'm just gonna tuck him back there. Okay. um, Back to modern times. Some of the correspondences for Samhain. Okay, so does anyone else? And maybe this is just me because I'm such a reader, but every time I look at it, like I keep thinking that I'm saying it wrong because I'm looking at it and I keep thinking that I'm saying Sam Hain, even though I know that's wrong. But
Yeah.
I haven't said it wrong, have I?
No, you said it, Samhain.
I mean, other than that one time when I did it on purpose, but okay. But I keep looking at it and seeing it written the other, like, how it's written, and I'm like,
I
anyway,
think when you read it, it definitely makes you like second guess yourself, but when you're
yeah,
saying it without reading it, you're saying it correctly.
yeah, okay, good, because
But when I was
I'm,
typing it up for like YouTube, I was sitting there like, is this how you spell it? And then I Googled it. I was like, I trust Brandy, but I still gotta Google it. And then I
yeah,
Googled it and
no,
I was like, yeah,
fair,
that's
because
right.
it's weird. I mean, it's ancient Celtic, like, definitely double check that shit. Um, But yeah, so then the next section of my notes, I went into correspondences and talked about the different correspondences. So the symbolism, there's a lot of symbolism, obviously, because it's basically all the same shit as Halloween. It's death and rebirth, new beginnings, healing the past, rest, healing personal shadows. So this is a good time for like deep intrinsic shadow work.
Hmm.
Healing and releasing those who have passed, transitions, eternal cycles, acorns, bats, cats, cauldrons, crows, crystal balls, death mask, fays and fairies, jackals, jack o' lanterns, moon, moths. This, can you tell that this is in alphabetical order? Moon, moths, oak leaves, oracle cards, owls, pendulums, pomegranates, psychopomps, which I don't even know what that is. Pumpkins, rats, ravens, scrying mirrors, scythes, shamans, skulls, spiders, spirits, stags, sugar skulls, tarot cards, turnips, and vultures are all symbols of Samhain, um,
It's
which a
freaking
lot of those.
bats.
I literally have paper bats all over my walls in my classroom, and that's exactly what I said when I was putting them up. It's freaking bats. I love Halloween.
I left work last night and I was talking to a friend of mine and I looked up and I was like, oh, bats. And she goes, it's fucking bats. I was like, it's freaking bats.
I love it. Yes. I called them sky puppies, and Brittany said absolutely not, that they're not cute, but they're
They
so fucking
are
cute.
so adorable.
They
I want
also
a
have
bat. I think they're
radioactive
so cute.
shit, but they're adorable.
That's fine.
Okay. Anyway, I got off track
They
talking about
are
sky
sky
puppies.
puppies. Uh, Brittany, have you ever seen an ugly bat? but
She's gonna say yes,
he's
she has.
well, you know what? You're wrong.
We went to the Cleveland Zoo, yeah. And they have like a whole fucking section, um, of just bats. It's like a whole dark area, and there's like
Hmm.
sugar gliders back there and other nocturnal creatures. But there are it's a whole section of bats, and I was obsessed with the sky puppies, and she was not having it, and I did not care. It's freaking bats.
That's fucking cute.
It's so fucking
That's a
cute.
sky puppy right there. That looks like my dog, but with
Yeah,
wings.
sky
That's
puppy.
cute.
Yes, it is.
Now there is a couple of them that are not so cute.
Now there are some that have weird looking faces, but for the most part, they're just little sky puppies.
Yes, agreed.
Um, but anyway, going back to correspondences, the colors, yeah, those ones are fucked up looking with the weird nose, but still, sky puppies. Um, colors, same colors that you expect to see for the modern day Halloween. Black, gold, orange, purple. It says red, silver, and then yellow. So like most of those colors you expect to see this time of year. Like, um, yeah,
I have red right there.
yeah. Well, and like red leaves, like it's red and yellow leaves, orange leaves. I mean, black and purple and orange, I feel like are the three main colors of like the mainstream Halloween. So it totally makes sense. Um, crystals or stones, that are good to work with this time of year: black obsidian, bloodstone, carnelian, iron, jasper, moonstone, onyx, smoky quartz, and silver. I don't know if you noticed a theme there, but most of those are darker color gemstones, or white. They're darker color or white, basically. There's a long ass list of spices. I guess it's not that long. It's not as long as the symbolism. Um, but a lot of them is herbs and plants, that you would expect to use. A lot of them are common sense for this time of year, like allspice, apples, bay leaves. I feel like bay leaves are year round for witches. Cinnamon, cloves, dried leaves, like just regular outside leaves, garlic, ginger, mandrake, marigolds, mums, mugwort, nettle, onion, passion flower, pomegranates, pine, red roses, rosemary, sage, sweetgrass, and tarragon. And actually, there is a link to a ton of recipes that I'm going to post, either on our socials or on somehow. I'm going to post it somewhere, because I'm going to talk about some of those recipes and like different things that you can make for your Samhain feast. Um, but there's a drink, a pomegranate drink that I really want to make and try. It sounds amazing. So it's another one. Sorry, excuse me. um, then there are deities. There's quite a list. Most of these I've heard of, but there's like one or two that I'd never heard of before. Number one is Anubis. The next one I'd never heard of before, Aran, Arawn. Never heard of that one before, but that's one. Baba Yaga, Caradwin, Carnunos, which is another one I've never heard of before. The Crone aspect, Hades, Hecate, Hel, Kali, Loki, Morrigan, Osiris, Persephone, Shiva, and Thanatos, which reminds me of Donato's pizza and kind of makes me hungry. Not gonna lie. That's probably like sacrilege. Somebody's gonna write us a note and be like, "Don't you take the name of Thanatos in vain." um. Anyway, incense and oils are very similar to the herbs and plants, but allspice, apple, cardamom, or cinnamon, copal, ginger, mugwort, patchouli, pine, rosemary, sage, and sweetgrass. Um, and then there are a few monsters, because the Celts believed that the barrier was between the worlds was breachable during Samhain, and they would prepare offerings that they would leave outside the villages or fields for fairies or Sids. Um, and it was also expected that ancestors, this is where it was also expected that ancestors might cross over during this time, and Celts would dress as animals and monsters so that the fairies were not tempted to kidnap them. Um, so there's where the dressing up comes from. Um, some specific monsters associated with the mythology surrounding Samhain are the Puka, the Lady Gwyn, who is a headless woman dressed in white who chases night wanderers and is accompanied by a black pig. And if I've ever wanted to grow up to be anyone in my life, this is who I want to grow up to be. The headless woman dressed in white who chases people at night. That's
Didn't we read about Puka
we
in
did.
Akatar?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
It was either Akatar or the other one. I don't remember. But yes, we've read about Puka in something.
I think it was the
Um
first one because that's when she like saw her dad hobbling,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then she went
I
to go
think you're right.
leave, and then he found her. Yeah.
Yes. Um The Doulahan sometimes appear as impish creatures and sometimes as headless men riding horses, like the headless hunt. They carry their heads. Um, and they ride flame-eyed horses, and their appearance is a death omen to anyone who encounters them. So that's like the Doulahan is like the headless hunt. And then there's another group of hunters known as the Sluag or the fairy host, and they also hunt on Samhain and kidnap people. Um, and the Sluag also, they're known to come from the west, and they enter your house from the west and to steal souls. So watch out for those guys, I guess.
I guess close
um,
your house and your windows to the west.
yeah, put some wards on the west or something. Um, okay, some rituals for, or more traditions than rituals, I guess, for Samhain. There is the tradition of the dumb supper, which I feel like we've talked about before on the podcast,
What is
where
it?
the dumb supper, basically where you don't talk. Um, you invite your ancestors to join in and you don't speak in order to give your ancestors a chance to communicate during the dinner. So, like, you set places for them at the table um, to like invite them to eat with you, and you don't speak during the supper. I
Maybe.
feel like we talked about it before. Maybe not. Maybe I just read about it, but I had definitely heard of it before.
Well,
So
didn't
I was
you? Could have been in the book, like the entering Hekate's garden.
could have been, could have been. Um, So then during that time, like once the ancestors have come, children would play games to entertain the dead while the adults would update them on the past year's news. And that night, the doors and windows could be left open for the dead to come in and eat the cakes that have been left for them.
That's very
Then
similar
there's,
to Day of the Dead for like Dias los
yeah,
Muertos, because I think they do that.
yeah. It's basically it's very similar to that in a lot of ways, like the whole holiday is. Um, some more modern or maybe easier solitary people or for families to celebrate. You could take a nature walk. It's like a meditative walk. Um, goodness gracious! Observe colors and the like the changing of the seasons. And also the life cycle, because a lot of things are dying or going dormant for the winter that will come back in the spring. It's kind of like an ending. And also, depending on where you are, you can forage while you're doing that. Like you can find fall plants, find leaves to use in your altar and other things, which leads perfectly into my next thing, which is set up a Samhain altar. Um, if so, a lot of people already have a permanent altar in place. If you don't, you can just set up a table or a shelf or just any like area to set up and leave in place for the 3 days before Samhain. And then you want to decorate the altar with symbols of late fall. So, like skulls, skeletons, grave rubbings. But check before you do grave rubbings that that is legal in your state because it is illegal in Indiana. Um, do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea what that
So,
is.
grave rubbings is when you take like a piece of paper and you take like a crayon or charcoal or something and you put it on the grave and like color on the paper so it takes the writing. Like,
Oh.
yeah, but that's illegal in some states. It's illegal in Indiana. So, or at least it used to be. I don't quote me because they could have changed the laws by now, but make sure before you do it that it's legal wherever you are. You could also do effigies of ghosts, harvest foods such as pumpkin, squash, turnips, root vegetables, potatoes, sweet potatoes, nuts, berries, breads, specifically dark breads. Like it specifically says that. Dried leaves. You could do a cornucopia. That's actually a symbol for Maven, but you could still do that for um, Samhain. And then you could also do mulled cider, wine, or mead. And you can do as much or as little as you want. You could put the whole bottle on there, or you could put just a glass. I could not just put just a glass because I have this menace of a cat behind me. But you could put it however you're able to um, do that. Another type of altar that you can make, which I think I really want to do this year, I think I might have two altars this year, um, is an ancestors altar where you can honor deceased family members by gathering photographs, heirlooms, other mementos of family, friends, or even pets, and put them on a table or other flat surface. Light the candles in their memory. So this has several votive candles. Really, any candles will work. But you're gonna want to do probably white, um, or another Samhain color. But I'm feeling like white, silver, gold. Those are the ones that would be best for this. Um, so light the candles in their memory, and while you do so, speak their names out loud. Express well wishes and thank them for being a part of your life or lineage. And sit quietly and pay attention to what you experience, and note any messages you receive. Um, and you can create this altar at just for Samhain, or you can keep it up year round. Like you can keep it ancestors altar all the time if you want. But this is the time of year that it is easiest to communicate. So it's a good um, time to do that. The next one is called Guide the Spirits. It says place a white 7-day candle. I don't know what a 7-day candle is. I don't know if that's like one of like a candelabra with 7 candles. I'm not really sure. Um,
It could be a candle that burns for 7 days.
oh, maybe that's what it means. That's probably what it means. I'm an idiot. It's fine.
I'll look it up.
Um, so place a white 7-day candle in the window to guide the dead to the spirit world. Um, light the candle. Oh, light the candle. Um, and there's like a little saying that you can say. So light the candle and say, "O little flame that burns so bright, be a beacon on this night. Light the path for all the dead, that they may now see what's ahead, and lead them to the summerland, and shine until Pan takes their hands. And with your light, please bring them peace, that they may rest and sleep with ease." So that's the guiding the spirits ritual. Also, where did you just go?
Hi.
Hi, where did you just go? What just happened?
uh, okay, so you see these button here? There's these buttons.
Are those back
And
buttons?
yes, and
Got it.
forward buttons. And
I
I
just kept talking. I was like, she'll be back because the numbers kept ticking. So I just kept going.
I know. I was like, "Oh, no. It's fine. I just It's slippery over here, and I lost.
All right.
Okay.
Visit a cemetery. That's another way to honor the passing of family and friends or other ancestors. Recall memories, leave offerings on their gravestones, such as fresh flowers or dried herbs. Rosemary is a great choice for this, or fresh water. But remember, whatever you leave, you are leaving it outside, where animals and other creatures can get to it or where it could blow away. So leave something that is biodegradable and not going to harm the earth, because ultimately that is like sacred. So just don't do that, okay?
I also figured out the 7-day candle thing. So
Oh,
you
cool.
know when you go into like random not random, but like shops or stores that have like a thick candle that's tall and like encased around like glass.
Uh-huh.
It's you see a
Oh,
lot of it in like Hispanic culture and
yes. They
communities.
have them at like the dollar
Those
store, even.
yeah, those are 7-day candles.
Okay. Good to
I
know.
didn't realize that's what they were called, to be
I
honest.
didn't either. I did not either, but I have a couple black ones. I don't have any white ones, but good to know. So, frugal witch tip, they sell those at the dollar store, just so you know. That's where I got my black ones. Um, you can hit pause and reflect on the year, celebrate life in contrast to death. Review your journals, planners, photographs, other things. We could go back and look at old podcast episodes, see how we've grown, accomplishments we've made, challenges, adventures, travels. Meditate, journal about your year in review and your reflections. Just basically very New Year's y kind of activity. Like reflect on how things have gone so you know where you want to go from here. Um, if you are brave, or if this flows with your path, you can hold a seance. But if you choose to do that, do it responsibly. Make sure you know what you're doing and do protection spells first, and close the freaking circle when you're done. Okay? Um, bonfire magic. You can light a bonfire um, outside, preferably, or in a fireplace or a small cauldron if that's all you've got. Write down a habit that you wish to end and cast it into the Samhain flames as you imagine release, and imagine yourself adopting a new, healthier way of being as you move around the fire clockwise. Um, so that's that. Divinatory guidance. You can use tarot cards, rune scrying, and other methods of divination to reflect on guidance for the year to come. It's a good time to look at. You could pull your cards yourself. You could go get a tarot reading. Just start planning for the future. And then community connections. If you have any groups in your area that um, already do rituals, join them. If not, organize your own small ritual. Organize a potluck at your home or even at your job. Even if you're celebrating with people who are not of the same like path as you, everyone always loves a good potluck. So just like put one together and I'm not saying like trick them into celebrating, but just because you're celebrating Samhain doesn't mean that other people can't celebrate Halloween or whatever. It's just a way of celebrating togetherness. Um, so that's an option. Um, I have this huge list of different like meal ideas. Like I'm not going to even read them all because it's ridiculously long, and I plan on posting the link. But I'm going to go through like the different things. So like meal ideas for your Samhain feast, your main course should be warm and comforting, like roasted meats, slow cooked meals, oven baked foods seasoned with rosemary, garlic, and sage. Personally, I hate the taste of rosemary, so it won't be me. I'll be using
It's
garlic
so
and
good for
sage.
your hair, though.
It tastes so bad.
Okay, fine. Use it for your hair.
um, but yeah, so like any kind of roasts, pot roast, roasted meats are going to be good for your main meal. And if you don't do meats, you could also do like roasted pumpkin or baked potatoes, you know. Well, I guess baked potatoes be more like a side, but like roasted pumpkins, you could do jackfruit, you could do chickpeas, you know, just basically whatever you like, but make it like savory and um, like a comfort food. Your sides should be rich, filling, and warm, made from cool weather vegetables like kale, Brussels sprouts, squash, potato, nuts, and seeds. So, like, you could do baked potatoes, or um, you could even do salad if you're doing kale and nuts and seeds. I don't know, whatever you like out of those. Um, Desserts should be sweet and aromatic, using autumn classics like apples, cranberries, and pumpkins. Caramel and pecan are also key players at Samhain. So lots of um, like apple cheesecake bars, apple crisp, apple pie cookies, apple spice cake, baked apple cider donuts, which actually my grandma used to make the best apple cake. And I super plan on making one here soon. And then beverages, you're gonna do warm and fuzzy beverages like mulled ciders, with you're going to use cinnamon or nutmeg spices, fall fruit flavors, so like think pomegranate, pumpkin, apple. There's actually on this website that I'm going to include the link to, there is a recipe for Harry Potter pumpkin juice. So, right, yes. There's a s'mores latte, pumpkin pie in a mug, refreshing pomegranate spritzer. That's the one that I wanted to try. I was talking about earlier. A refreshing pomegranate spritzer. So, those are like some food ideas. And like I said, this website had all of these things listed, and then it had links to recipes for all of these things. So I'm definitely going to link that website for you guys. The website was called Kiki Dombrowski, the Samhain menu links to recipes for a delectable feast. But I'll link that. Um, and then, so the last section of my notes are about spells. So I have a few spells to talk about. One is for release. For this spell, you need paper, pen, and a candle or bonfire. You're going to write out a list of very basic, like write out the list of things you feel the need to release this month, whether that's events, emotions, or people, or other things. You read your list out loud to the moon and then carefully burn your list using either the candle or bonfire and move into the next month with a clear mind and spirit. So, this is one you're going to do on the 31st to prepare to go into the new year fresh, I guess. Um, the next one is a dream ancestor connection. So, as you go to sleep on Samhain, on October 31st, you're going to say the name of the person you want to connect to. Picture what they look like, think about talking to them, asking for their advice or guidance, and ask them to meet you in a dream to figure it out together. And then leave a notepad by your bed in case you wake up in the night and want to write down what you, like, if you have a dream, what you find. Um, the next one is pull a card. So it's the perfect time to focus on what you need from the next lunar cycle or the whole next year. So you can ask your tarot or oracle deck what your focus should be for the next month, year, etc. And then pull a card and interpret it. Or I'm sure we'll post at least one, but if you go to Pinterest or Google or really any kind of search engine and just search Samhain tarot spreads, there's going to be tons of options. Or if you're not sure, you can go to a professional and talk to them and have them read your cards for you. The next one is a wish spell. For this spell, you need a glass of juice. It doesn't even specify what kind of juice, just a glass of juice. But I'm gonna say, since it's Samhain, you're probably gonna want to do a fall juice like apple juice or like pomegranate juice or cranberry juice, something like that. Go outside with a full glass of juice and look up to the moon. Tell the moon exactly what you wish for with as much detail as possible. Toast the moon with your juice and recite the following: Mother goddess, look and see this goblet that I offer thee. It is yours for all you do, gracious one of silver hue. And then you're going to pour the juice on the ground as an offering, and hopefully your wish will be granted. So, and then the last one, yeah, the last one I have is an ancestor candle ceremony. For this one, you need a bunch of black or white tea lights or flameless candles, um, a heat-proof container or a tray of sand to hold the candles, and you're going to place one candle in the center, and all the other candles will be lit from that candle. And then before lighting the main candle, you're going to turn off all the lights and sit in the dark. You're going to invite the spirits of your loved ones. And then when you're ready, you're going to light the center candle and recite the words, "We welcome our departed loved ones into this home and honor your presence among us." You could also say it in the singular if you're alone. Um, and then each person involved in the ritual will remember someone who has passed and light a candle while sharing something about them, and continue until all loved ones have been remembered or all candles have been lit, and then allow the candles to burn down and give thanks to your loved ones. So that's another Samhain ritual. It's a lot of ancestors, and then shadow work for the future, like release and planning for the next year. So that
I was gonna
is
say shadow work.
work, work, girl. You better work.
No.
But that is Samhain.
Yay! It's my favorite day of the
Yeah.
year.
And so I was not able to celebrate Maven on Maven because I was officiating a wedding that day. Um, so I plan to celebrate throughout this week. I've got a couple baking things I want to do. But I also plan to decorate for this season. So
I I didn't celebrate it on the day. I prepared for like before. So like on Tuesday of like the Tuesday before Maven, I I like got a simmer pot ready and like I did my intentions, did my bay leaves, all that kind of stuff. And then I did a pull apart, not a pull apart, but like an apple cinnamon, I guess it is a pull apart, like biscuit dough thing.
like a monkey bread kind of thing.
Kind of. So you take whatever like dough you want. You can use your own or you can just buy like the pre-bought kind, and then you take like each one and you cut it into like fourths. You relatively you want to have about 10 rolls. I use two of them because I use like the grands flaky so I could like cut them in half and get a little bit more. And then you put them in a mixing bowl. You take like your favorite apple pie filling or make your own apple pie filling, whatever you want, and put some cinnamon in there if you're not allergic to cinnamon.
Or you do it
And
anyway if
then,
you're like me.
yeah, right. And then you pour that in there, you mix it all up. And then you're just supposed to put it in like a baking dish and then put it in the oven at like 350 for like 30 minutes. I wanted to spice it up a little bit. So I went to Trader Joe's one for the first time, and Will was like, I regret letting you walk in here slightly inebriated because we had literally just got done having dinner and I had a beer and I hadn't eaten all day and I hadn't drank water. So, of course, the beer went straight to my head. Um, and I was eating spicy food. So, like, I'm chugging the beer
Right.
because it's spicy. So we go into Trader Joe's and I see pumpkin fall squash ravioli. I see fall harvest salsa, and I see like banana or not banana squash.
Ooh, fruit salsa sounds so good.
Yo, right. I see like butternut squash soup, and I'm yo, and then I found like a pumpkin like a pumpkin like a cinnamon pumpkin brioche thing or whatever. And I was like, oh, this was a bad idea. And he goes, yep. And so I like hand him the thing and I'm just walking through and I was like, okay, we're gonna have some of this, we're gonna have some of that. He goes, I am not eating that. I was like, good, it's mine. I'll
I
eat
am.
it.
I will eat it. Yes, I love
So
it.
so while we were there, we found apple crisp like granola crunch kind of like topping
Ooh.
stuff. And sometimes when I have morning shifts, I will make um like oatmeal or something like that. And ever since that first like fall breeze hit South Carolina, it's been fall. It's been me. Like
Yeah.
this is what I feel. It's 80 something degrees. It was like 85 degrees today. It's motherfucking fall. So you best believe all the
Yes.
flavors are coming out. So um I like mixed everything together. I put it in like a baking dish, like a 9 by 9 baking dish, and then I took that apple um cinnamon like granola
Granola.
crunch topping whatever, and I sprinkled it on top.
Mm.
And then I baked it. And it has like dried pieces of apple in it, so it's like sometimes if you like take a bite of like the biscuit, you like get that Granny Smith apple taste and you're like,
Like tart.
oh,
Yeah. Ooh.
yeah, you're like, oh, that's good.
I love it.
So
Nice.
I mean, while I was doing that, because not that it was like the first of the month or anything, but like while I was doing that, I was like, okay, intentions, cinnamon intentions, success intentions.
Yes. Right?
So
I love it. Okay.
that's how I celebrated. I put on a simmer pot and then I just baked.
I married my Aunt Gina to her husband, Robert.
And I made steak. Oh,
That
I
sounds
did it
really
with
sour wedding
rosemary.
food.
Yeah, and I did it with rosemary.
Nice. All right.
Anyways, that's what I did. So,
Whoop, whoop.
how are you celebrating Samhain? Let us know.
Yeah.
Or not. That's fine too. But I don't know. Anyways, until next time.
Right. Bye.